Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Homeschool Moms. I'm Niki.
And I'm Ashley. If you're looking for real, raw, and relatable moms who talk all things homeschool and mom life,
you're in the right place.
We want to say thank you to Homeschool Planet for sponsoring this episode. If you are new to hearing about Homeschool Planet, we encourage you to check out this amazing, life-changing digital planner. Homeschool Planet will make your life simpler by keeping home, school, and work schedules all in one place, accessible to anyone.
Yep, and my favorite part is to plan your entire school year in just a few minutes by seamlessly merging all your lesson plans from popular homeschool curriculum companies right into your calendar school year. Check out their 30-day free trial with no credit card required, which will be linked in the description box.
This month, Homeschool Planet is also offering 15% off all their lessons. Don't miss out on this great sale. I know I am stocking up on lesson plans for next year.
You know how people come on and they say, ho, ho, holy shit, it's almost Christmas. So it's like, ho, ho, holy shit, you're almost in Chicago.
Okay, I've never heard that, but yes, I'm super excited.
You know, like ho, ho, like, yeah.
Kind of. I mean,
I'm just creating my own now. When everyone's seeing this, Ashley will be here this week.
Yeah. And 2 days after this goes live, I'll be with you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Keeping my night owl self awake and picking you up from the airport at like midnight.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm so excited though. We have so much tentative plans depending on the weather to be outside. We might do an architect boat tour downtown. And we might go to the zoo. We might go paddle boating on a little mini lake by my house, which she's like, what was that? What, paddle boarding? I'm like, oh, no. If there's any way I'm getting on a board, it's going to be on my stomach because I can't imagine standing and paddle boarding.
That's what I thought. I was like, she's going to get me in the freaking lake in water. Like, no, not happening. You do not know me.
No, because I don't do that either. I am not a lake girl.
I'm not a get in the lake person. I'm a sit next to the lake or in a boat on top of the lake. I'm not a get in the
I know the fish
lake.
that my child fishes off the pier. There's no way my body is going to be with the fish, okay? Even in the ocean. That's pushing it.
I'm excited. And I did, my weather app is finally showing Wednesday, I'd be there Wednesday night, so it doesn't really count. But it's like in the high 60s, and it says like partly sunny, and I'm like, oh my God, fingers crossed, it stays nice.
Yeah,
even though
like
I don't really care.
Bloom. So all of our trees are coming in, and the tulips are out, and there's so much green. It's so pretty.
Like tulips that grow like in the ground?
Yes.
I've only ever seen tulips like from a grocery store, like a florist.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be crazy. We're going to have to bring allergy medicine because like we don't have allergies here.
Oh, you will.
But we're not used to like blooming flowers.
And all the different types of grass and tree. Girl, bring your allergy meds because mine's already acting up. And it's only been a couple weeks. So,
I'm so excited.
I'm
my gosh, I can't wait to pack. I'm like waiting. I'll probably start bugging you this weekend of like, okay, what do I need to pack?
And I'm like the worst because I did the same coming by you. And it really didn't matter because I'm not like ever cold. So like you're asking the literal wrong person because I'm going to be like in a t-shirt. And you're going to probably be bundled up in like layers because our cold is definitely different than like your cold. Like spring cold is kind of like it's chilly, but there's still sun. So it's like, it reminded me of when we were in Zion, how it was cold in the morning, but when we were in the sun, it was fine.
Right.
So as long as we stay in the sun, we'll be fine.
And I was freezing at Zion. So we're bringing layers. I mean, we don't own coats. So definitely sweatshirts
you don't need a coat.
Is the best we can do. And
by the time you get here, I'm going to literally be ready for a break because we have been nonstop busy. Our floors are being installed this week. And so I've been nonstop prepping. I mean, every day we've had something to do and places to go and people to see and projects to do and organizing and purging and all of the things. And I'm tired and I am looking forward to some fun.
I agree. This is my kids' last week at co-op. And they're packed. Like every single day this week is something. We have like some family things we need to deal with this week. And like, yeah, I'm literally getting on that plane. And like is the only one allowed to contact me besides you because I'm like, I just need a mental break. I was looking at my planner, my Homeschool Planet planner. It's insane because I put everything on there. I put like all the stuff on there.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely insane how busy we are.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm excited.
And I'm going on my first trip in May.
Where are you going?
I'm going for the weekend to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Jane's listening so she can correct my accent. But she has the greatest Minnesota accent, but I'm going with her. We're going on like a day retreat with our support group people.
Fun.
And we're probably going to spend like the weekend. And I get to meet her mom, which I'm so excited about because I'm just like, I don't know. I love people. I love meeting people's parents. Like when my friends are so awesome, I'm just like, I want to meet who created this because, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure her parents are good. I'm like, you don't want to meet my parents.
Okay, back up. Maybe not all the parents are awesome, but I don't know.
Funny,
I'm just an old soul, so like I love to be around. I don't know. I'm just used to being around older people. So,
all right.
But yeah, I'm excited. That'll be a nice time. It's only like 5-hour drive ish, so it's not too bad. I know you're not. You and her both do not like being in the car.
No.
So she's having me drive to like her hometown. Which whatever, I'm fine. I don't mind driving.
Oh, I'm happy for you that you get to go on like a little trip though. I know you've been itching to go, especially after your travel year last year. You need to get out.
I know, and I'm like, this is really bad because that was so fun last year.
Yeah.
That like now I'm like, how can I not do that every year? Like that's so expensive.
So expensive. Especially right now. Things are just so stupidly expensive that
Yeah. So you know what I'm excited about?
What?
Don't you just love how I ask a question and I drink?
Yeah, I think I'm used to it that I'm like, all right, I'll just wait. Don't worry.
We have a guest today.
Yay. I'm excited.
She's going to be here in a couple of minutes. Some of you may know her because she's in the YouTube community. But yeah, I'm excited. We're going to talk to her today about kind of her story and yeah, I mean, her story. I don't want to spoil it because I just want it to come out. But we have some interesting hot topic things we're going to talk about. And she is definitely the one that's not afraid and just shy like us. So I'm excited to have her.
Did you just say we're shy? Did you just say that?
Did I? Is that what that's not what I meant though.
Yeah, I was like, no. Wait, have you met us?
Oh my God. That's not
She's going to fit in well with us, I think is what you meant.
Because she's not shy. Yes. Because we're not
neither
shy.
Are we.
And we are very blunt and like... Anyways, I'm going to text her right now and tell her we're ready for her.
I'm excited. She was one of the original YouTubers when I first started YouTube that I was like in a group with her and like we would do collabs and stuff. And so it's fun because like I feel like I've talked to her a ton and like we've done videos together, but it's going to be so fun to just be able to get to like chat with her like this. Like we're going like out to coffee with her or something. It's exciting.
I know. It is. We are wrapping up our season. And when you're seeing this, there'll be one other episode, right?
Yeah, one more. God willing, because
I know
we are struggling. We're on the struggle bus, guys.
We are on the burnt out train, if there's such a thing. With our own channels and just like in general with homeschool stuff, it's just a lot because we're itching to be like on break and just like done. So I'm excited for a little bit of a break.
Same. Maybe we shouldn't have planned this trip until our podcast ended because I think that's messing with it. I think that's like my I just want to be done with everything during that trip. And so I feel like I'm just, I don't know. But I'm excited because too, when we're there, we get to film some new stuff for like season 2. So we'll still be working, even though we're saying we're burnt out.
But it'll be much fun because we'll be like,
it will be more fun
in the same room.
Yeah. And these are fun. This is like the least burnout. It's just because it's just like talking to you on the phone, but it's like all the boring stuff, like the editing and like when we have, deadlines to meet or, it's just all that kind of stuff is what's not fun.
Yeah, I think that's the part obviously people don't see is like they see us on here laughing and being fun, but they don't realize the work that goes into planning these and taking the couple hours. I mean, our episodes might not be as long, but we film for a long time, and then our editing stuff cuts a lot of dead space out and things. So we're grateful and like we have fun doing this, but it's just a lot of work. So we definitely like the encouragement that you guys all give us every week in our comment section. We get so many fun comments and just like positive, encouraging ones. And we're really thankful for those to keep us going. So,
yeah. And make sure you're subscribed because that tells us that people are watching or listening and want to continue.
Yeah, and I'm super curious to know like if anyone is wanting us, our next season will be coming back in July sometime, maybe beginning of August. And we want to know what you guys want to see when we come back because we're going to be in the fresh start of a new school year and we're curious on content. I mean, we're always curious on content. Like, we're pretty good at planning it, but like, we want to know, we want to have this be a two-way street here where we're kind of benefiting our viewers as well, or listeners, wherever you're at.
Do you like when we just ramble on about just day-to-day stuff, or is it like you want us to talk about a specific curriculum or specific homeschool topic? We know the not conservative, controversial topics always get a lot of likes, but those are hard for us to do because it's not easy for us also to just put that stuff out there and deal with, negative feedback sometimes. Speaking of that, because we're still waiting. So, I'll post reels on my Instagram of like, it's not really controversial, but it's like talking about public schools or talking about homeschooling. And they will kind of like, I don't want to say go viral, but I mean, some of them have like 80,000 views. And oh my gosh, I've had to turn the comments off on a couple of them because people just start going at each other. Like it's homeschoolers versus anti-homeschoolers, like all in the comments. Yeah. Oh my God, it's wild. And it's like, I know I'm posting stuff to kind of get like some of those reactions, but like people like, you need to find something better to do with your day. Like instead of like blowing up my comments on a post and arguing with people. Like there's this one guy, his username is called like Mr. Troll. His name literally says he's a troll. And I have like 4 people just like going back and forth. I'm like, guys, he enjoys doing this.
He's like, literally listed that way.
Yeah. So I just like turn off the comments because I'm like, I don't want to deal with all this back and forth. I also turned off notifications for Instagram because I just can't. I hate Instagram.
I did that forever ago because there was no way. My phone would be going off like all the time for all the stupid little like weird notifications that you get. They're like, oh, this person wants to join you on Threads. Okay, I don't want to be on Threads. I don't even know what Threads is. I don't care to know what Threads is. So like, don't care. Skip.
Yep. Yeah, or everybody has these new broadcast channels. Like, I don't know what that is.
Oh, I don't either. And I'm like, why do I want to watch? I don't want to watch just some random person's broadcast channel. I mean, is it a podcast?
I guess is it just like people watch our YouTube channel. I don't know. I think it's for people who are on Instagram but don't have like a YouTube channel. It's like their community, I guess. I don't know. I can barely handle YouTube and the little amount of effort I put in Instagram. Other than that,
it's hard. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
Because then you balance like what you want to be public and what you want to be private and like, not sharing too much. And, I don't know. I feel like someone's going to judge you no matter what you share. So it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have no personal people on my Instagram anymore. I mean, unless somebody's following me, but I just
I have a
closed
ton
down
of
my
personal people,
account.
but like nobody that's gonna be mean.
Yeah. But then it's hard too, right? Because like I don't share with personal people like updates and pictures and stuff. And so it's like it's just too much to try to keep up
My
with.
mom's on there now, so not that she would even probably know how to like see my stories because it's pretty much all I do are stories.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's cute.
I just wanted her on there so I can send her all the funny dog like reels and recipes.
Yeah. I feel you. My mother-in-law doesn't really have social media except she has like some fake accounts to like see the kids' pictures on like our co-op groups and stuff. But one time she found one of my book YouTube videos on my old book channel. And I was like, please don't watch this.
Because it's kind of like Facebook where like people can be influenced by like what you hear and like stuff like that. I wonder if like YouTube and stuff like that is kind of similar where it'll push like I wonder if any of my like local friends will see my face on YouTube because like they know who I am.
I always wonder that, but I don't know anyone who else is a YouTuber like in real life besides you to like know if they would pop up. But oh yeah, and then Emma, I was talking to Emma and she's like, the co-op moms know you're a YouTuber, and I was like, please no. And she's like,
no.
Yeah. And I was like, why do they know? And she's like, why do you care? And I'm like, it's just this weird thing. Like, I don't want certain people to know it about me, even though it's like out on the internet. I don't even know how to explain that, but it's just a weird dynamic.
I wouldn't want that either, which it's so funny because I met someone locally at a library, which if she's listening, like she was totally fine and I like adore her. But I got scared for a second because I'm like, it's so scary to combine both worlds.
Right.
And it's hard to explain that. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna really go and like share my personal stuff with the world, but it can be a scary thing because you don't know if that can happen or what if you then don't get along, are they gonna go and be like, oh, well, don't listen to this podcast or, don't listen to, like, I don't know, maybe it's totally in my head, but it's just that weird balance. Plus, a lot of people look down on like influencers, even though we're not really an influencer. We're just like a content creator, which AKA is like an influencer. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to get our guest thoughts on that too.
Yeah. It's a weird dynamic. Well, and then I heard like, I don't know, Emma was like, yeah, my friend has a YouTube channel. Like she's like 13 years old. And I was like, and Emma's like, isn't that dangerous? Shouldn't a 13-year-old not have a YouTube channel? And I was like, yes, a 13-year-old should not have a YouTube. But then I was like, please tell me your friends don't watch me. Not that I say anything, like, I'm pretty good with keeping my kids' stuff private, but still, like,
yeah,
you shouldn't watch me. Like, I'm a mom talking to other moms. I don't know. And then it's like the whole parasocial relationship. Just because you watch my YouTube videos doesn't mean you know me.
Right.
I share like 10% of like who I am in my life on social media, right? So it's like you don't really know me. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, I felt like
because you also forced to get to know me. Thank you, Niki, for joining and breaking this up.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a mic, but I can't get my phone to connect to my computer at all.
You sound great.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I close enough? Can you see me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn this off.
I was just, dying because Ashley made me laugh.
We're talking about like the difference because like we're on YouTube, and so people like think they know us because they like watch all of our videos, and I'm like, but you don't really know us. Like, you know, a small percentage.
Yeah.
But Niki like got to know me because she like forced her way into my messages to get to know me. But that's what we're laughing at.
Like, I've talked to both of you on messaging before, but this is the first time I've talked to either of you like and seen your faces at the same time.
Like live, like we're actually talking together.
I know, it's so crazy.
It's exciting.
So glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. And so now that I can see you and hear you, hi friends.
Hi. I'm with two Nikis. This is so fun, but I feel left out.
I know.
I'm Nickie though, okay?
I'm only 1K and IKI, so
Oh,
nobody
1K.
1K. Nobody spells it that way. That's all I've got.
Nobody spells
Nope.
it although I will say people over the years have come to spell it my way a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of Nichols as well. That is me, Nichole.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
So,
I'm just a plain Nikki. I'm not a Nicole at all.
oh,
Just
See,
a
I
plain
told you,
Nikki.
Nikki.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That and people are always calling me Nicole, and I'm like, no, just Nikki.
No, it's Niki. I'm gonna say that anyway, even if I am a Nicole, because the only person who's allowed to call me that is my mom.
Right.
Welcome. If some of you are watching us on YouTube, you might recognize Niki from Homeschool-ology,
Yeah.
which took me a long time to figure out how to actually say that.
Yeah.
When I'd watch your channel, I'm like, is it? I don't know. I'm like,
I'm debated over the dash versus no dash, because with the dash, it's obviously ology, but then people would get confused. So
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here. We feel like we've got your channel as long as we've had our own channels. So,
Yeah.
I think I was right behind you, Ashley, actually.
So that's what we were talking about.
Mhm.
I feel like I was right behind you, or it must have been at the same time,
Right.
because we were in some group together
Mhm.
and we would do collabs
All the
right
time.
in the beginning. Yeah, all the time.
It's been 3 years for me now, so that seems like bonkers.
A fun time. So, do you want to start talking about your YouTube journey first? We'll get that started since we're kind of on that topic, and just how you started and what you share over on your YouTube channel.
So I share mostly secular homeschooling because we are secular homeschoolers. And I started the channel because my oldest she was starting middle school, and all the content that I was seeing was for elementary school. And I couldn't find anything for middle school. Very, very far in between, few between. And even if it was for middle school or high school, it was religious based, So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
if I need it, somebody else has to need it too, So if I'm going to figure it out, I might as well share with others while I'm figuring it out, so that they don't have to start from scratch like I did.
yeah, so we actually were curious. You are a Christian family, but you choose to be secular with your curriculum. Is that right?
Correct. So my husband's family was raised Catholic and mine was raised Baptist. So we kind of are just like a general, like we talk about God and we do that, but we're not big church people, but we believe, but we don't. Me and my husband are both scientists. And so we really felt really strong that keeping like religion out of school was important. So even though we might believe in God, when it comes to school, we only focus on secular education. So I think that's mostly because we're scientists, and like combining those two can be really challenging.
Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And confusing to a lot of people because they don't understand the difference.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so cited in the homeschool community.
Mhm.
So I think it's good for people to hear, like, you're still a religious family. You just
Right.
choose not to use that type of curriculum. I think people see the word secular and they're like, they either run or they're like, oh, that's all I want. They
Right.
don't know how to find that balance of it.
Yeah, this is actually like a really big debate on the secular side, is because we sometimes feel like people like won't, they have this stereotype of what we are, like we don't believe in God and we don't, and it's like, that's not what we are. Like, I just want to be somewhere in the middle, like, and I feel like in a lot of the homeschool communities, people feel like you have to be one way or the other way when you don't. Like, you can totally be in the middle.
I mean, that's kind of like us, right? Like, so my husband, his dad was Jewish, but he was raised Christian. Mom, and so we actually got married, and I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school till 8th grade, and so we believe in God, and like he actually wears the Star of David and a cross, which a lot of people don't like, but
Right.
like we're at this, like, I don't necessarily feel like I need it in my curriculum. I'm not shying away if there's something that really works and it's in there. Like, we're going to be using an Abeka for next year for like their health curriculum. And they obviously talk about God because it's a backup.
Right.
But it's not like something where I'm just like, no, like we're not going to touch it. But I don't talk about it a lot because I'm not, I guess I would not call myself a confident Christian because I don't we don't go to church. We're not actively like in the Christian community. I just believe in God.
Right.
And I had a lot of things in my life that make me question a lot of things. So like, I don't want to talk about something that I'm not as confident in anymore. And I don't want
Right.
people to like it to come across as like I'm just not knowledgeable in it or something when I literally went to Catholic school for 8 years. Like I know a little bit of knowledge on it. I just don't know if I believe all of the things, you know? So
Right. Right.
anyways.
Yeah, it's really, that's kind of what we're trying to like teach our kids is that like believe it the way you want to believe it. But here's what the Bible says, and you take it for what you feel, you know. So that's kind of like our approach. So we don't really align with any church, but we also still believe in God. So we're seculars, but we believe in God.
So how many kids do you have and how long have you been homeschooling?
So we have 4 kids. My oldest is 13 and we've homeschooled from the get-go with her. It was not something I had planned on doing, but she was very socially, like if we were in big crowds, she just could not handle it. She would just cry and she was not ready for kindergarten. So we tried it for 1 year. We were just going to do it for 1 year and give her a year to like work on dance classes and things like that. And then we fell in love with it. Like, it's so great and it fits our lifestyle so well. And here we are 9 years later, still going strong. So,
Which is so probably against what you know because you were a public school teacher. And so it was like, oh no, can I do this at home without really like recreating that classroom setting that we don't necessarily need as a homeschooling family?
yeah, that was one of the hardest parts for me when we started homeschooling was because I was expecting, you know, I had learned all these things that you had to do and this is what your day had to look like. And to unteach myself all of those things took years.
That's interesting because a lot of people think you need to have a teaching degree to homeschool, and you're sitting here saying you like threw that out the window, and it's like that's not what worked well.
No, it did not work. I mean, it's nice that I have my like child psychology, you know, that I can rely on for, you know, so that part of it was beneficial, but everything I learned was for mass education and dealing with, you know, like, and then being very organized and having classroom management. And at home, you don't need any of that. And honestly, when you try to put a lot of that into place, it goes horribly wrong with your children at home. So it really, I had to unlearn all of that.
That's what both Ashley and I wanted to be was a teacher. And like she learned fast that it was not because of financial reasons. And I pretty much learned because when I taught my kid, I was so excited because I was actually I was going to go back to school during COVID to try to get my degree so that I could go teach. And I realized really fast that my child sits here very patiently and does school with me, and there's no way and I have like my patience is tested with the obedient child next to me. I couldn't imagine teaching another kid who's like in another universe.
Right.
Like, and
Or
you have to
30 of
figure them
them.
out. Yes. And I'm like, nope, that's no longer what I want to do. Like I figured that out real fast, but then I got crushed, you know, because I was like, my whole life, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was like my vision. And now I'm like, okay, I'm doing it in a way. But like now I'm like, if I ever did want to like go back into the work world full time and find like an actual career someday, I have no idea what I would want to do.
Right.
Oh, here we are. How did you get out of that world?
So when I had my oldest, I went back. I had her the week that school started of the school year. And so I had off the first 9 weeks, and just leaving her every day just like broke my world. But we had, my sister-in-law was keeping her, and the next year my sister-in-law was going back to work, couldn't keep her anymore. And by the time we looked down, like did our finances, I would have been bringing home $200 a month after paying for daycare and everything. And so I was like, $200 is nothing. We'll just turn off cable, and so I chose to stay home for that reason. And then once we started homeschooling, now I'm home because we homeschool. So,
how long were you a teacher before
5 years.
you left? 5 years. And you were a high school science teacher? Do I remember that?
Chemistry and biology. So I had 9th grade to 12th grade. I had them all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little about that. We're coming to you with science in high school, just so you know.
Right?
So we have a hotline to you now.
I knew exactly what I was going to say.
I gotcha on the science front. I gotcha. No, it was really fun. I enjoyed it, but there's so much politics in the education world. Even back then, I mean, that's just 9 years ago. Even back then, it just was. And there was a shift sometime between when we were in school and when I started teaching, that it was like, if a kid was failing your class, it was your fault as the teacher, not the child, always. And I was like, okay, if I were failing a class, my mom would have killed me, not my teacher. You know what I mean? So it just was. And then just the politics of it all. And then I had a baby and I wanted to be with her. And it was just like, that is so much more important than dealing with all of this craziness. And that's why I left. And I probably wouldn't go back.
You started homeschooling 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been obviously an increase since 2020 in the homeschool community. So when you were homeschooling, it was different. Even 9 years ago, it was way different than the last 4 years. So tell us what you've seen happen in the homeschool world.
So when I started, everybody was a religious homeschooler, all of them. There was nobody who wasn't. There were, but there was a very drastic difference. So finding people like us was really hard back then. And then finding curriculum that wasn't religious was impossible. Yeah. We literally had All About Reading and Matthew C. and one other thing that was secular, and everything else was religious. And now the difference of the amount of curriculum you can find and use, neutral wasn't even a word back then, and now it is. Finding neutral curriculum and being able to find people like you is so much easier than it used to be. And so it is night and day. Our group, when I started, our co-op group and our group of secular homeschoolers that we have here, was probably maybe a third of the size of what it is now, which is so great.
I think it's funny because I'm in a secular, I think it's a Facebook group. We all know Facebook groups, but I swear there's just as much from the secular side as there is on the Christian side of the attacking. Of that's not a secular curriculum, and I mean, someone just on Instagram the other day attacked someone over The Good and the Beautiful again, being how the owner of the company is, I think she's Mormon or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, we're still here. We're still here. Wow. I mean, it's very black and white, one-sided from both sides, I feel like. And I get it. Trust me, religion is definitely a very high value for some people and not for others. And there's really no in between. But I can just look back when you see those old YouTube videos, when you're really trying to search for a curriculum and you come across videos from 6, 7 years ago. And it's the curriculums they use, you don't see anyone using anymore. And it's they'll have that one curriculum or something that you were actually searching for, but the rest that they're talking about on their list is either doesn't exist or I don't know. I just thought how far it's come, because it was all the same types of curriculum in their videos. And now you can come across, yes, you'll have your popular YouTube channels where you'll have the same type of curriculum talked about all the time. But if you really search YouTube, you can find a ton of different curriculums now.
Yeah, that's exactly why I even like started this whole world, is because you just like, were so many options that nobody was talking about, so many things that were, new, nobody had seen yet. And I was like, we need to get into this. We need to see what all these things are. Like, there's so many more offerings now. It's a blessing and a curse though, because now there's too many offerings and then I want to buy everything.
We know. That's our problem.
Know me.
I'm curious though, with you being a former public school teacher, does that make it even more challenging for you to settle on curriculum, knowing that you've dealt with curriculum in school and you knew, like, I don't know if you had like a choice on what you could use? Because some schools, like, you can, and like other schools, they're very like rigid and you like can't touch like a thing outside of what they want.
Yeah. So when I was there, you were given the textbook that you didn't get to choose. Like, you were given the textbook and you could like design your own things outside of that textbook. Like, you were allowed to adapt it and make it and design your own things. But that was the textbook you got. You had no choice. Like, that was it. And so whatever that textbook said, you had to go with, and then you do have to meet those standards, make sure you're addressing those standards. And that can be challenging too, because they're written like terribly.
I don't know how to word it, I guess. How do you feel though, because you come from that structured environment, you come from curriculum. How do you feel about like unschooling and like maybe not using a curriculum? That kind of world.
I love the idea and the concept, and I think it is super valuable that a child is like interested in what they're learning about, because they're going to learn so much more if they care about it, However, I am a person that needs structure to do well. So I need someone, like, I need the curriculum that's telling me what to do next and what, and so I need the structure, even though my children don't. So I think unschooling is great, but it doesn't work for me as the teacher, unfortunately. But I try to do it as much as I can, like let them pick things that they're going to learn about and, do the paper on that instead of whatever we're learning about in history,
Yeah, I feel that idea because we're way too structured. Both of us are. She's insanely structured outside of our school time, let alone inside our school time. So for me, it's easier to let her still have choice and still be able to keep the curriculum of choice. But I don't know. I don't know what alien thing came over me, but like I was just in this thing because I struggle with finding curriculum that I can really use and like stick to. It's not that I want to marry a curriculum for life, but like I just find that so much of it I end up skipping sections of that I find like it ends up being a waste or whatever. Even though you're supposed to use it as a tool, and it's hard because they all have different things, and I just went down the rabbit hole of like, what is education? Like what? Okay, so let's just ask you, like, what if you had to answer that? Like, what is education? Like, what would you say to your child if they asked you what that looks like, and like how you support your future for them and whatnot?
So for me personally, mine and my husband's ideology is that we want to teach our kids how to learn and how to solve problems. If you can teach a kid how to learn something and how to solve a problem, you don't have to teach them anything else, because they can go find their answers if they know how to learn and how to solve a problem. So for us, that's what education is. That is not what education is if we're talking about the public school system. So that is a big reason why we chose homeschooling.
Well, tell us what you think their like version of education is in the public school system.
So this is very controversial, but
Oh yes, bring it.
and,
We like
and
controversy.
I don't want to, first of all, I'm a former public school teacher and I will forever and always support every public school teacher that ever exists because it is a thankless job. They don't get enough credit. Like, it is so hard.
Yes.
That being said, I think that the public school system is trying to teach children how to work. And I don't want my children to be taught how to work. I want my children to be taught how to think. So that's how I feel. And that's probably why I'll never go back.
Well, but think of why school started in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's why they're taught to work. They're taught to go on and have the best possible job, even if it's not necessarily the career that they want.
Right, right. And so that was a big reason that we stuck with homeschooling because we are able to teach them problem solving. And like, if you don't know the answer, how do you go find the answer to that question? You know, they have it easy now with Google, but you know, back in the day.
But even learning to use Google, right? That's a skill because there's false information. There's, you know, like even my third grader, sometimes I'll be like, just Google it, you know, because I'm like rushing.
Right.
And she'll like come up with some weird ass answer. And I'm like, no, that's not what you needed to find. So,
oh, that's like yesterday I was having a mini breakdown about my hair falling out. And my child took my phone, got on Google, and started Googling hair loss and why it happens and what I can do about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've already read that page. Like,
right.
It's bookmarked, don't worry.
I have a funny Google story. My oldest, when she was like 3 or 4, she kept asking me questions and questions and questions when we were driving in the car. And I was like, I don't know. We're just going to have to ask Google. And she goes, Mom, is Google God? And I was like, why? Well, Google knows everything and God knows everything. So Google must be God. And I was like, no, we need to talk.
Like, how do you argue with that?
Right?
Oh, that's cute. That's adorable.
Cute.
I'm curious, what do your kids, I mean, obviously they've never been to public school, so they don't have an opinion really on it, but are they curious to go back? Are there times where they feel like they want to try it?
So my children are not morning people. And so as soon as they say, you know, hey, maybe I want to go to school, and I say, okay, that means we have to get up at 6 a.m. They're like, nope, no, not doing it. But no, seriously, my oldest considered it, but then she had a friend. So here in Florida, you can take once you get to middle school, you can take like just 1 class or 2 classes at the school and still be a homeschooled student. So one of her friends did that and she did not have fun, did not like it. And so now my daughter's like, no, if she didn't like it, I'm not going to like it.
I could ask either of you, do you ever fear like that your kid, because in a sense, we almost like spoil them away from those like rigid, like where they have to wake up early and they have to go do these things. Do we ever have this fear where when they do end up getting older enough to go get a job, or they're going to be really picky when it comes to that because they can be picky in homeschool because we're very relaxed and not as, I don't want to say structured. That's not the right word, but like, do you ever fear they're just not going to make or have those right choices when they do get out of the house because they didn't have that school flow, so to say, if that makes any sense?
I mean, that makes total sense to me. And honestly, I haven't really thought about that much. That's a good question. But I am a big, like, kids should stay kids as long as kids can be kids. Like, and so for me, I'm like, yeah, they have the time. They'll have the time to learn that when they're older, like, and now they just need to be kids. Let them be kids, What about you, Ashley?
I think it comes down, honestly, to just their personality, whether they're in school or not. I mean, I have my oldest daughter was the one who was in public school the longest. She went 3 grades. And she's the worst morning person. I cannot get this girl up in the morning to save her life. I've done every incentive possible, threatened anything possible, and she can't do it. And that was a problem when we were in school. Her younger sister, who only went like half a month in kindergarten, wakes up earlier than me and gets everything done, right? So public school didn't teach her that. It's just who she is. But then also my oldest, I mean, she can't wait to get a job. Every time we go to like Dutch Brothers or Chick-fil-A, she's like, I want to work here. And so like that ambition is there, and there's nothing I'm doing except just what we're doing. And then I think that's the point though. Like, again, we're homeschooling because I'm not teaching them to just go get stuck in like an 8-to-5 job. Like I really want them to like think about a passion that they want. And yeah, they're going to have to probably start working at a crappy entry-level job.
Right.
But that's because they want things. Like if you want a car, whatever. So I don't really know if public school does that. I think it's more about like just what motivates you. Like, are you happy to get up in the morning? Are you happy to like do stuff? Or would you rather sleep all day? Like, it's just who you are as a person.
Yeah, I'm a total night owl. So our hours around here are like totally shifted, and my kids go to bed probably way later than everybody else's kids. But we don't move in the morning, but we do all of our stuff in the afternoon, and that's what works for us. And now there's so many jobs available. Like, I mean, Ashley can point this out. Like, she can work from home and work on her schedule and make it work. And so I feel like there's so many opportunities now that they don't really need to, like, my daughter wants to do like computer graphics, like in animation and stuff. And she doesn't have to wake up and do that. She can do that whenever she does.
Well, I think it's also important to say that when we were in school as a kid, I feel like we were also influenced so much by our peers around us. And so it's also important for us when we're homeschoolers to teach our child to have their own voice and opinions and wants and desires, because there's so many things that I did that I didn't necessarily want to do, but I did it because my friends did it, or wanted to work at a certain place, or wanted to, and like I ended up, I regret that. I mean, I get there's a process for it, but there's a lot of regret there too. And so I think that's what I was drilling home, is like that fear of like, well, if they're not going to have those other people to either encourage them to go a direction that maybe they don't want to hear from their parents, or I don't know, I'm stumbling on my words, but
yeah, I don't think though, like peer influence in those age ranges, those are not the people you want influencing your kids.
True.
Like, no one is making good. I mean, yeah, there's a couple good seeds out there, but like, no one has their life together. And so having like, I don't know, people in your community, I think that can be like better role models. Like, how you were saying when you guys went to the zoo and she like loved the dolphin thing.
Yeah.
Like have her look up to that and be like, that's what I want to do, rather than some 12-year-old telling her it's cool to work at the Hot Topic or whatever, whatever's cool, I don't know. But
I do. My kids have public school friends, obviously, and so they do get that influence, but I definitely think we're saving them from a lot of those negative things that they don't, when you're building your self-identity at that age, like, I want them to choose things for them, choose things that they want, not things that somebody else wants for them,
Yeah. So when you started homeschooling your oldest, was it popular to have homeschool groups and meetups, or did you feel alone because there wasn't a lot of people that you knew that homeschooled at that time?
So when we very first started, we were the only people in our whole group of friends that chose homeschooling. So all of our other friends went to public school at that time. And the first year was pretty lonely because I hadn't found that homeschool group yet. We had one here, and it was smaller, but we hadn't gotten involved in it. And so that first year was a lot lonelier, where we just, when you're home alone with your kid all day long, you don't talk to any adults ever, but she took dance and she had dance. And so we had some friends, but now like we have like 5 or 6 friends that we see on a regular basis because they're homeschooling too. And we can go on trips with them when when everybody else is in school. And So it's so much nicer now. Like we have so much of a bigger community. And I preach all the time that you need community if you're going to homeschool. Like you got to find it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's this shift happening right now. Like it may have taken since the start of the vid, but when everyone decided to homeschool, but there's this shift happening. And I've noticed that more and more when we run into people at the playground who, like today we were at a playground and this happened. And I was with a friend, and we have older girls, but majority of the other moms that were there had like really tiny kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the one mom was like, "Oh, is there a school off today? You know, like we never really see older kids here during the day." And we're like, "Oh, we homeschool." And she goes, "Oh, that's so cool." Not a lot of people would give you that opinion. When we first started homeschooling, it was still like, why? You know, like, you're gonna send your kid back though, right? Like, it was a lot of those, like, you know, well, you know, for just temporary, right? Until this all goes back to normal. And it was like, well, maybe I had somewhat of that mindset, but as soon as like month one was done, I was like, heck no, like we're not going back now. But you know, the opinions of people, they're seeing the benefits of homeschooling. But it's just interesting to me because, you know, when you first started homeschooling your kid, I didn't even know that I even thought about homeschooling as a thing. It was that unheard of. But I can imagine how it must have felt isolating there for a while, knowing you out of all your friends, like that was the choice that you made. Has your husband always been pretty supportive of homeschooling?
Yes, luckily that way. This was not, we were never going to homeschool. This was not on the plate. I was a public school teacher. I was going to take my kids to school, pick them up at 3. You know, this just was not in our cards. And my sister-in-law started homeschooling her boys. She has a son that's 2 years older than mine, so she started 2 years before. And at first we thought she was crazy. And I even remember like vividly having a conversation with her in the car and being like, I don't know how you do that. I could never do that. I could never be home all day. Like, and you know, granted, as homeschoolers, we're never home all day. We're always doing something, right? But, and then it just was, when it came time to it, I just had this feeling was like, I really should homeschool. She's not ready. Like I had personally had a very bad kindergarten experience, and I'm like, I don't want her to have that. I don't want her to have that negative association with learning. Like, and he was just automatically like, you know what? Those are all really good points. I feel the same way. And then he was actually the first one to be like, yeah, I really want my kids to learn how to problem solve, and they're not going to be taught that in school. And I was like, you're right, you know, like, and it just.
Well, that's because they took so much of the play out of school for kids. I mean, I went to kindergarten, I played all day. I mean, that was a big to do then. Now, like, there's none of that even in the classroom. It's, you know, you're reading, you're doing math, you're doing all the things, and you're expected to know it all by first grade.
Yeah, it's crazy. My aunt is a first grade teacher, and she's like, the things that when she started 20 something years ago and now, like it's totally different. Like she's like, I was teaching my 4th graders this, and I'm now teaching my 1st graders this, you know, like, and I'm like, that's insane. How can you expect them? They're not cognitively, you know, like they don't have the brain power for it yet, you know, like drives me crazy.
I don't know. Do you have any more questions for Niki, Ashley?
I do have one because I'm curriculum obsessed, but because you're a scientist, do you have like a science curriculum that you just like love?
No.
Oh man,
I know because we have had this conversation where I have watched her videos.
No, the thing that I found that I like the best so far is science chunks from Elemental Science. Elemental Science as a company is not secular, but their science chunks are neutral. And so basically they just don't address things like evolution or the Big Bang or anything like that. And so far, I've really enjoyed those because they're kind of like mini units. So I can fit them in where we need them. and my kids get to choose which one they want to do. And so they're more likely to be more engaged because they are excited to learn about it. So far, that's the one that I've found that I like the most. But no, I cannot find one I like.
All right. I do like science chunks. I think I looked at it because you said it. That one, no one talks about that really.
And they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
They're literature based too, which y'all know. I love my literature based stuff. So it's like always like a fun book to look at and activities, and they're like super easy. A lot of the science things, I feel like they make their labs so difficult and complicated, and then mom doesn't want to set it all up and clean it all up, and so I feel like the science chunks are like
yes, us. We
well,
won't
and
do
I
it.
thought about doing the sassafras, which is through the company.
Yeah.
When I was looking into zoology, and I ended up choosing Apologia, which I regretted because it was the old version, and so it was so text heavy that it just turned her away because it was like, oh my God, there's just like 10 pages of like text information. And so we did not do that very long for third grade, and I like that book's going, if it's not sold soon, it's getting donated because I just don't want to look at it.
Right. That's how I feel about spelling connections. I don't even want to look at it anymore.
That's in the pile to go as well.
Right?
Nobody wants it because everyone knows that it's
gone.
Not great.
But
well,
I haven't found it. If I ever get the time, it's my dream to like make one. But I just, I don't have the time.
It's a lot. But do it. We'll support you.
One day.
I don't know that I could be that creative. That takes so much time and effort to really get something that's going to engage somebody and like get them sucked in and want to learn it. And there's so much that I like about curriculums, and then there's so much that I don't, that I definitely know what I wouldn't want in one. But that's so hard. And then you see companies who constantly come out with like updated versions all the time, and it's just like, what? Like,
wow. Well, with science, the only thing with science is that theories change all the time. So like that one is legit. Like you gotta update it. And so, and then I was saying that, like, when I buy a curriculum, I'm buying it to use it with all of my kids. Like, that's how I'm saving money, So if they change it in 2 years, that's very frustrating. So.
Yeah.
But sometimes it has to be done.
Well, we're glad you were here with us today. Everyone, go check out Niki's channel over on YouTube. We'll have it linked in the description box. Go give her a shout. Tell her you like seeing her on our podcast because we're amazing. And
maybe she'll come back in season 2.
Yeah, we gotta figure out a really good topic and have you back.
Please, I'd love to.
Yeah. So to finish it out, I'm gonna ask a random question and then we'll go.
Okay.
Are you ready for my randomness?
Yes.
That I just come up with these things on a whim. So if you, as a former public school teacher and as a seasoned homeschooler, what would be your best advice as we tend to get a lot of newly homeschooling people that pop in on our channel? What would be the best advice you could give to a new homeschooler?
So, funny enough, I have a video coming out on this very soon.
Oh, here we go.
But definitely find community. That's like so important. If you don't find your community, you're gonna burn out. Like you need a mama to commiserate with. Like you gotta find that. And then start small. But like don't try to do everything right from the beginning. Just start
try to buy all the stuff.
Right? Don't buy all this stuff. The basics is all you need when you're starting out, and being able to try different things rather than committing to everything all at one time is probably going to be your best strategy for starting and not overwhelming yourself.
That's good. That's good advice. Well, to our listeners and viewers, our watchers, thanks so much for having us. We'll see you in our final episode. This episode will be airing on 4/21.
Or is that
Yay.
422.
422.
Monday,
Yes.
the 22nd.
On the 22nd, and then there'll be one more episode before we break for our season 1.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I love this for you guys. I love listening to y'all chat.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
We want to hear from you. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so let us know your thoughts on today's episode. Share your topic suggestions or ask us any burning questions you may have. Your input shapes the direction of our podcast, and we're here to create content that resonates with you.
If you enjoy listening to homeschool stories, curriculum reviews, advice, struggles, and overall mom life, this podcast is for you. But so is our YouTube channels.
Don't forget to check out our individual channels. We share even more content, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at our lives. Thanks for listening.